Hello, everyone. I know sometimes you think that I make up stories as to whether or not, like, Jason exists and maybe whether or not Rebecca exists, but here is actually Rebecca Clifford-Cruz, our new hire at the Chong Miller Group. So, of course, I'm Justin Miller, one of the founding partners in the Chong Miller Group team. And Rebecca is our first hire. She's actually our transaction manager. And I wanted to take this opportunity to allow Rebecca to sort of introduce herself to you and let you know who she is, what she's going to be doing on our team. For those of you who actually work with us on transactions, whether you're buyers or sellers, Rebecca will be involved, at least in part, of the transactions that you're going through, helping to support to make sure that everything is working as quickly and smoothly as possible, and that if there are any speed bumps along the path, that we get those solved. And so her skills are going to be really important in terms of making sure that we're able to scale the business and maintain everything at a very professional level. So Rebecca, let me ask a couple questions of you, and feel free to speak freely to our clientele,
Okay.
and everyone else out there in YouTube world who might be watching. And by the way, if you have not already, please subscribe to our videos, and feel free also to make comments. If you have questions for Rebecca, you can put them in. Questions for me, you can put them in the comment section, and we'll actually respond to you. We try to respond to everybody's comments. So, Rebecca, I guess the first question is, how did we meet?
Well, both my husband and you attended the Naval Academy, and there's a local alumni chapter here that has events occasionally. And I met you and Jason at the Army-Navy game, Go Navy,
Beat Army.
at Miller's Ale House, I believe in 2018. So that was a few years ago. I know that year the Navy won. And that's how we met. And then, we continued to reach out to you and Jason to come over to our home and meet our community of friends. So that's...
And we really appreciated that, and getting to know. So Norm, I actually knew at the Naval Academy. There's about 1,000 midshipmen in each class,
Mm-hmm.
and we're organized into different companies, and Norm was in the company next to mine, so I actually knew him there. And so anyhow, it was really neat getting to know Norm again, and then getting to meet you. And so we met at one of the Army-Navy games at Miller's Ale House. So Rebecca lost her job at Miller's Ale House, and we hired... No, I'm kidding, actually. So
You're funny.
So actually, Rebecca did not work at Miller's Ale House. What did you do?
I was a corporate librarian, and how I ended up being a corporate librarian is I moved to Las Vegas in 1999 to be the librarian for a daily newspaper. And then during the recession, our newspaper merged newsrooms with sister publications, magazines, niche products. And at that point, I became a corporate librarian. So I've been with the company I had been with the company for 21 years. And I just, it was a very rewarding experience. I learned a lot about Las Vegas and the area during that time. So, if you ever need a good trivia partner on Las Vegas history, I might be a great team member for you.
And you seem to be studiously avoiding mentioning the name of the company. So I'll just say, I don't know if you don't want to disclose it, but it's a major newspaper here in Las Vegas, with which you're all familiar, if you're actually in Las Vegas. So Rebecca had been working there for quite a long time. And Jason and I started talking to her about maybe making a change, and what that would mean for her, the potential to do something new and interesting. And at the same time, we were envisioning growth for ourselves at the Chong Miller Group. And so early this year, those discussions came together, and we were able to convince Rebecca to leave her long tenured position and join us here at the Chong Miller Group, and started actually the beginning of March of this year.
I was excited by the opportunity to move into a new industry. The Las Vegas housing market has always been interesting. It's had its peaks and valleys, and right now it's definitely going through a peak, and I was excited to have the opportunity to join your group, and I couldn't ask for a better mentor.
Well,
You know?
Thank you.
Justin, just being on the job this past month and hearing, when you go to a Chinese restaurant and there's Chinese people eating there, well, when you go out on a job and other realtors are saying, wow, what a great realtor you are, that says a lot. So, I've been very
Thank you.
fortunate to have wonderful mentors in my life, and so it was easy to make the decision to join the team because of you and Jason.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. That was not specifically meant to be an advertisement. There's no bonus associated with that comment. But yeah, and it's been interesting because we've been introducing Rebecca to the full process of what it means to do real estate. And so we actually had her out on some inspections with us, because we like to actually go and participate in inspections for our clients to make sure that we know what's going on with a house that they're buying or a house that they're selling. And so she got to meet counterparty agents at some of these events, and so I'm glad that you had interesting conversations with them, and glad that they said the kinds of things they said. So yeah, so why don't you tell us what you sort of envision your role as here at the Chong Miller Group?
Well, it's exciting to be the first employee outside of the two pillars.
So Rebecca was telling me when we were doing the initial conversations that she was an employee with a very low employment number at her prior employer. And so she was able to have Rebecca at her previous employer for her email address. And so I told her that I believed we could probably secure Rebecca at Chong Miller Group for her email, but it got kind of tight. She almost had to be Rebecca too, but we resolved that issue. So yes, so she is actually, you can reach her via email, Rebecca at Chong Miller Group, just as I'm Justin at Chong Miller Group, Jason is Jason at, and info is our kind of company box for everyone. So info at Chong Miller Group.
Yeah, but being part of the core group, the team, I only see Chong Miller Group expanding in the future. It's a wonderful company, and so being part of that core group that works out workflows and building the business on top of the business philosophy that you already have in place, really, that's special. And I'll be able to get to know all the clients, as transaction manager. I like to say that I'm going to bring the triple D threat. I've thought about this, and I think three major qualities around my job includes details. A transaction manager needs to be hyper detail oriented. There's a lot of things moving and shifting during a transaction, so definitely detail oriented. Also deadlines. I have a lot of experience working in the newsroom, and I think that's a quality that it's a learned thing. You need to learn to meet your deadlines, and that really is important. And then lastly is documents, and having been the keeper of 70 years of archives, and also doing research for reporters and editors, I think I can handle the document side. And I want to continue to keep the organization that you have in place and just build upon that, and really keep the high standards of Chong Miller. Yeah.
And so since we know each other through a military context, even though
Yes.
neither Norm nor I are active duty any longer, I'm going to amend that to say it's the D cubed C.
Okay.
One of the sort of series of reasons that we were so excited and wanted to approach you about the opportunity was that you are clearly very detail oriented. You are able to work on deadlines, and I say both those things because you've demonstrated that capacity very well throughout your career. Obviously, otherwise you would never have lasted long in the environment
Right.
you've been in. Documentation, clearly something that anyone who works in librarian services and a newsroom is going to be really exceptional at. And then the other thing is conscientiousness, that Rebecca has a history of really showing and demonstrating her conscientiousness with regard to her putting information out there for the entire Las Vegas Valley and community. And so she has not only built her reputation, but she demonstrates on a day-by-day basis her conscientiousness to make sure that things are done correctly, certainly on time, and in ways that are engaging and helpful. And so that was all really important to us. And as we were at, I don't know, some event, it may have been a Thanksgiving dinner or something, we were talking about the growth that we were experiencing at the Chong Miller Group. And Rebecca was curious about it, and we were just sort of talking about it. And afterwards, Jason and I, when we got home, both said, as we grow, Rebecca is like the absolute perfect hire. And so we were.
Oh, thank you.
Well, seriously, I mean, we really were, and we didn't want to say things, too far ahead of time because we didn't want to cause you to be thinking about maybe leaving where you were and ending up somewhere else. But on the other hand, we're like, okay, when the timing's right, we've got to do this because we really think Rebecca will be fantastic for the Chong Miller Group and for our clients at the Chong Miller Group. And when Rebecca mentions, sort of coming in the infancy, it's kind of interesting. So the Chong Miller Group itself is a little more than 2 years old. Last year, 2020, clearly a very hard year for all of us throughout the Valley and throughout the country. But we actually did about the same level of business as we had the year prior. So we didn't shrink. We managed to maintain through the very hard year of 2020. 2021, so we're recording this on March 26th of 2021, we've already done more business this year than we did all of last year. And so we're growing rapidly. Obviously the market, there's lots of transactions taking place. We're growing at a rate well ahead of what the market's growing. And so we anticipate further growth, and we started to run into constraints that we wanted to make sure we didn't drop the ball and drop our level of professionalism for our existing clients, and at the same time we were still able to grow and continue to expand. And so Rebecca really has come in to help enable that.
Yeah, it's been wonderful so far. And,
In your first 3.5 weeks.
3.5 weeks, but yeah, it's definitely a learning curve. But I see how much goes into one transaction. You've really hustled, Justin.
Yeah, and actually it's a really interesting thing, and sometime we'll get time and we'll put together a video to sort of talk about the entirety of the transaction, because a lot of people who are looking for homes show up thinking, let's go get in the car and go look for some houses, and that's sort of the end of it. And that's the early beginning of it. And same thing with sellers. A lot of times there's no real recognition of what the process is. And so there's sort of the fun part, the looking at stuff and comparing. And then there's the sometimes really challenging stuff like now, getting actually into a contract. And then there's the incredibly detailed, time deadline-driven set of processes to make sure the transaction actually works, because otherwise things collapse. And at the Chong Miller Group, we actually really pride ourselves on being able to get people into contract and being able to get people through contracts. We just closed one actually that it was in Las Vegas. It was a one-sided transaction, but it was contingent on a transaction in California that had dragged on for almost 4 months. And so we had to figure out ways to continue to keep the Las Vegas transaction on track and to try to give suggestions into the other market where we're not licensed, we don't do anything, we don't have the actual representation. But it's really hard. There's a lot of agents out there who don't have the experience, especially in this kind of market, to get through the transactions, and we definitely bring that to the table, and Rebecca is here to help.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be here. Something I learned early on in my career, and probably some of the best business advice I've received, is be present. If you have an appointment, keep it. If someone calls you, answer the phone. If you have an email or a text, respond. And so that is something that has been instilled in me professionally from the very beginning, and I'll definitely be there for our clients. I'll be present.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
2021, the market's growing, but we've been growing substantially more than the market. We did more business, volume and dollar volume, in the first quarter of 2021 than we did in the entirety of 2020 or 2019. We're growing, we're busy, but we always have the ability to take on new clients, and it's why I hired Rebecca onto our team, to make sure that we have the ability to interact with and take care of all of our clients and go through the transactions seamlessly and smoothly and professionally. So please reach out to us. We'd be happy to talk with you. We'd be happy to help you in your real estate adventure. Please also subscribe to our videos. Let us know if you want the newsletter, if you're not already on our mailing list. And please let other people know. Let your friends and family and colleagues know. If they need help in real estate, we're here to help them. Please have them reach out to us. We'd be happy to take care of their needs and provide them the same level of professional, high-quality service that we provide to our established clients. I am Justin Miller with the Chong Miller Group. I look forward to talking with you soon. Thank you.